What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Packers Rookie Preview. I am your host, Tyler Brook, and we've made it. This is the final episode of Packers Rookie Preview. Obviously, the channel will continue in some capacity, talking about Jordan Love, camp competition, some film on some guys from last year that need to take a big step forward. You guys have given me some great ideas for some content going forward, so just want to say how much I appreciate all the support so far. We are nearly at 1,000 subscribers, just incredible support over the first month of this channel. That being said, I did promise once we hit 900 subscribers to do a giveaway. Basically, the second entry to the giveaway, $100 NFL Shop gift card, copy of my book, The Science of Football. All you need to do is subscribe to this channel, comment below in this video on Grant DuBose, the wide receiver out of Charlotte. Comment with who your favorite Packers rookie preview was this season. Curious to see which rookie you're most excited to see in preseason and ideally in the regular season. So again, thank you so much for all the support. Be sure to subscribe, enter into that giveaway by commenting in this video, or I'll provide a link to the tweet so you can get that second entry if you haven't already done so. But why don't we go ahead and get into it. Grant DuBose, the 7th round pick out of Charlotte. Really excited to dive into this one. So you can see right out of the gate, DuBose definitely fits the Packers type under Matt LaFleur for a wide receiver. Nearly 6'2.5", 201 pounds, so really good size. Good athleticism at 8.78 relative athletic score. Most of his testing didn't really have eye-popping numbers, but everything was solid across the board. His 10-yard split in the 40-yard dash was impressive. His vertical jump, broad jump were very good. Second team All-Conference USA last year, had 9 touchdowns. Originally was at a Morris College, and they had their season canceled in 2020 due to COVID. He was actually working a few jobs before his former teammate encouraged him to try out at Charlotte, where he ended up playing the last 2 seasons. Had quite a bit of production for a guy that hadn't played football in a little bit. 126 receptions, over 1,600 yards, 15 touchdowns in just 2 seasons. So really productive receiver, produced against some solid opponents. Why don't we go ahead and dive into the film, show you what makes this guy such an intriguing 7th round pick. So I got 3 games of film for you today against Georgia State, Maryland, and South Carolina. Some really good cornerbacks against Maryland and South Carolina, but DuBose was still able to produce. But the first thing that stood out in this Georgia State game was just contested catchability as far as jump ball. He didn't get a ton of opportunities to do this in these 3 games I watched, but knowing his body type, his athleticism, where he really stood out athletically, and just this play specifically, feel pretty confident he can be a jump ball guy when needed. So why don't we go ahead and highlight this? DuBose obviously right here, number 14. Just going to see, they're just trying to throw it up to him, just in the corner of the end zone. And then he showboats a little after, which I can appreciate a little bit, the too small. I will say this, he doesn't show it a lot on the film of these games, but if you watch a lot of his highlights or anything like that, this guy likes to talk trash, and I kind of like that for my wide receivers. As long as you can back it up, and he certainly does. So again, we're just seeing here, just run to the corner of the end zone. Notice him high point that. He is trying to get that at the highest point away from the corner, and then notice how he stabs that back so that the cornerback cannot get to it. So he gets it, pulls it back to make sure the corner can't break that up. Another nice one, he's going against press coverage here. And, he may not have the most diverse route or release against press, but he is so athletically gifted and has such good size that he is, he doesn't struggle too much against it. He is able to, get free, not slow down through getting jammed. So here's a good example of that. They get a hand on him. He doesn't give up on the route, and then just good body control and tracking over the shoulder. Haul that in. Nice touchdown. See the crowd go wild. Again, he's so gifted and big that, even though he's getting jammed, he's not completely breaking off his route. The timing's not off too much, and he just makes a nice play. I'll take that. That can be a tough play for a wide receiver. Next one we got right there. DuBose. Again, handling press, just releasing. It's a nice release. Watch him plant that foot, It's kind of what we talked about at Wicks, not as prevalent, but, you know, when you're trying to release inside, you want to feign here before cutting inside, which is what DuBose does here. Plants that foot, drives inside, gets some separation, and then picks up a few extra yards after the catch. You can tell he's significantly bigger than the cornerback here. But I just like how firmly he plants that outside foot and then cuts in. Some nice separation there. I'll take it. I like that. It looks nice. And then here, this is a game-winning drive against Georgia State. They're driving. I think there was like 13 seconds left on the clock on this play. So you got just right here. Again, going against press. This is for the win. Just look how, again, plants outside with his outside foot. Right there. See that foot? When you're trying to do one of these stick routes, you plant that outside foot so you can break inside. Able to do that. Nice job catching through contact. And that's ball game. That's a nice play. Next, we got one against South Carolina. You can see DuBose here again against press. Just some nice separation again. Again, I will say this. He may not have the twitchiest foot quickness. He may not be like Dontavion Wicks, who we covered earlier in this series, who has all those moves on the release. But he is so decisive and cuts so hard with his routes. That's where he creates a separation. And that size allows him to kind of like box guys out. So against a South Carolina team that likes to play a lot of press coverage, he was still able to have some decent production in this game. I'll take that. Here's just a great example of him adjusting to the ball. So you got DuBose at the top of the screen. Not the best throw here. Maybe it's a back shoulder. But you can see him react. He tracks the ball very well off the hand. Just contorts his body. Nice catch. Really nice catch. That can be really hard, even for any level of a wide receiver, is adjusting to that off-target ball and making a play, especially when going to the ground. So another tool in his bag of some stuff that he can do. Really nice to see. The Packers under Rodgers love those back shoulder throws. We'll see if the same is the case for Love. Another one here against South Carolina. This is just, setting up your blockers, being able to make some space or make a guy miss an open space. Again, he's more of just an athletic guy. He's not elusive. He doesn't have a ton of wiggle. Isn't a burner. But, on a screen like this, he does have a good feel for where his blockers are. He makes sure to follow them. And then he can make a guy miss in space and pick up. That's some really nice yardage on a screen. Utilizing his blockers, seeing where the space is, making a guy miss, cutting up field. So there absolutely is some playmaking ability there, even if he's not the shiftiest wide receiver in that room. So there's abilities for him to contribute besides just, bodying against press, making jump ball, contested catches. And then some of my favorite plays, and Matt LaFleur is probably one of the reasons they took this guy, is his ability to block. So you can see what he's trying to do here is crack this linebacker so you can create a seal. Because then you can put the running back ideally just one-on-one with this corner. Because you'd rather take a corner than a linebacker any day. But this, I believe this might just be a screen. Yeah, it is. So the corner instead just is following DuBose. So DuBose is getting a 2-on-1 here. The corner's going to follow him this way. And he's cracking the linebacker. You're taking both these guys out of position to have all the space here with blockers. So that's a nice job by DuBose selling that. And then look at him get his shoulder into there. That's against a linebacker too. I like the physicality. I like the aggressiveness. And then he keeps finishing the block. He sticks through that block until it's well gone. And then that's a touchdown. Love him celebrating his teammate too. Again, really nice block. And I just love that he sticks with it. The fact that he's turning him downfield after that. He doesn't just throw a shoulder, give up on the play. He throws a shoulder in there and then keeps sticking to the block. LaFleur is going to love stuff like that. I love it too. If you have that body type as a wide receiver, I want to see you as an aggressive blocker. This is just another great example. We got DuBose in the slot right here. Another great example of that run blocking ability. Just sticks with them, hands in, just keeps them. If he doesn't stick to this block, there's an issue here. And this guy he's blocking can get to this running back. But he does not quit on this play, even if he's not exactly winning the block. He's steering him, gets him out of the play, shoves him to the ground. I like that little shove too. So he can absolutely do that. That is a huge asset. Again, we know LaFleur in training camp wants to see guys give effort as blockers as well. That could be where DuBose really shines, gets an opportunity to make the 53-man roster, potentially get in on this offense. He is one of the bigger body types. Very impressed with that play strength. Lot of good to like. Again, probably still a little raw from playing at some smaller programs, but just the natural ability is absolutely there. Very impressed. Now, that being said, a couple things to work on. I have some questions about something, so why don't we just go ahead and get into it. I saw a couple plays against Georgia State where there's some miscommunication. Now, one thing I noticed watching these 3 games, it feels like there were different quarterbacks playing in these, so I'm not sure if this guy in Georgia State was a backup or if he's the starter. But there was some miscommunication twice, and this first one I think might be on the quarterback, but I thought it was worth showing. So ideally what we're going here, we're just going verts. Verts here, if I can get this. Wow. Verts here. Now, typically, on some of these vertical concepts, wide receivers and quarterbacks have, a determination here. If he's even here, or like 10 yards downfield, let's say they're even, or the cornerback has a step, you want to turn this into a comeback route. If you've got a step on the corner at 10 yards, then you're still going. So I think there's some miscommunication here, and we can see right about that 10-yard mark. You can see corner has a step on him, right? But I think there's miscommunication. DuBose turns this into a comeback. Quarterback reads deep throw. It's an interception. Again, I don't know their scheme. I'm just pointing this out. I don't want to be unfair to DuBose on this play, but this is clearly a miscommunication with the comeback versus the curl. I will say I think DuBose is right. Just from the schemes that I've seen in the past, typically if you're even or the cornerback's beating you, you're turning that vertical into a comeback route. That's not the case here. So just wanted to point that out. Not sure who's in the wrong there. This one, I think DuBose is in the wrong. This looks like it's a quick hitter, and DuBose just is not ready for it. We got him right here. Does not seem like he's ready for that ball because he's throwing quick. DuBose is going deep. I think they're reading a hot rusher they don't have picked up. No, it just looks like it's a quick pass. He's set up like it's a quick pass. You got the screen at the top, so I imagine if this is a quick screen up here, then I imagine this is some kind of quick concept as well. So this might be a miscommunication on DuBose. So just saw a couple of those against Georgia State. Give me a little pause. Wasn't sure what that was about. And then here we got DuBose, bottom of the screen. There are just times, again, I like his athleticism. I like how he runs his routes decisively. It feels like times he can be a little out of control, not polished enough, trying to kind of step in on guys' feet. And I know you want to step on the toes of defensive backs in some routes, but it's just getting that feel of not literally stepping on their toes, because there are some times where DuBose is just losing some balance because he's making too much contact with the guy and is just not comfortable with it. So he's trying to make contact and then push off, but is just not comfortable once he is engaged with that corner. Just something I wanted to point out. Another one here. Let me figure out who that is. Yeah, that should be DuBose at the top of the screen. So he's breaking. Again, makes contact, loses his footing as soon as he makes contact. So he's cutting in. He's making contact right here. And then once that contact happens, he's losing his balance. And it happens a couple of times. So thought it was worth pointing out. Again, as decisive as his routes can be, it seems like if there's contact down the field, not against press, but more just down the field, he struggles a little bit, finishing through that route cleanly. So I thought that was worth pointing out. And then we have him here, top of the screen. And this is more of just, I don't have a ton of negatives, honestly, on this guy. This is our last one. I didn't have a lot of good plays to show it, but he doesn't have that breakaway speed. And I wouldn't expect a 6'2 and a half guy over 200 pounds to be an absolute burner. But it is something that, it's a nice route. He separates. It's just right here, a more explosive wide receiver is probably taking that to the house. Because, again, like we talked about against press, he does a nice job with his routes, being decisive, creating that separation. It's just, can you take that to the house? He just doesn't have the breakaway speed to do so. But that's really all we have for the negatives. I really like this pick. It's a nice project. Again, just a very interesting story coming from working 3 jobs and out of football to he's in the NFL now after 2 great years at Charlotte. They played some good competition last year. He put up some nice film against some good teams. I really think this guy has a shot to not only make the roster, but potentially contribute with that body type. I'm very curious to see how he competes in the preseason. Probably one of the rookies I'm keeping an eye closest on. Really enjoyed that film. And again, I like a wide receiver with a little smack talk. But that's all we got today. Thank you so much for watching. Again, that is the end of Packers Rookie Preview. Cannot thank you guys enough for all the support. I started this YouTube channel not really knowing what I was going to do. I just wanted to talk about the rookies in a kind of a different format than I've done in years past. The Twitter videos, you can only talk so much about a given play with 150 or 250, however many characters it is now. But just seeing the amount of support you guys have given means the world to me. It's been such a fun project. It's inspired me to keep going. Thank you again. We'll see you next week. I'm out of town. Football is back up for practices. You might notice I'm not too sunburnt yet. We'll get there. The tan lines are going to start coming in as summer football rolls around with practices. But, I'll try and release at least 1 video a week, ideally 2, once we get that, cadence down. But really excited to talk more about the actual Packers team besides the rookies going forward. Thanks again. We will see you next week. Go Pack Go.